So I'm Sam Oakley from Informatech, and with me I have Roberto Kompany, Principal Analyst from Omdia. Roberto, we've just come to the conclusion of the 5G Core Summit 2023. I was just keen to hear your view on why a gathering like this, the 5G Core Summit, is really important for the industry.
Yeah, so in terms of 5G Core is really the next phase of deployment for operators. So we've heard this over the 2 days. Operators have been deploying 5G in the non-standalone architecture that's really using the legacy 4G core. So really now we're going where operators are deploying the 5G core to be able to not only sort of deploy new use cases, but how better to monetize their network, because that's really the name of the game. How can operators make money out of their investments that they've been doing over the last 3-4 years into 5G?
Great. And I think from my point of view as well, if you look at the kind of conversations that happened on site and the engagement of attendees, we've had attendees from 30 different countries, for example, attending this show. It shows there's a lot of demand and interest in the topic right now. Yeah. And the thing is that 5G core deployment's still quite early stages. I mean, by my research within our service, mobile infrastructure service, we counted about 45 operators that had deployed the 5G core commercially end of September 23. So, compared to the number of operators out there, this is still a small fraction. So we're still in the early days, and we do mobile sort of infrastructure investments and forecasts, and we can see that going into next year, we're going to start to see a ramp up into deployments of 5G core. Lots of opportunity.
Exactly.
Great. I'm just keen to understand a bit about your most interesting takeaways from the 2 days of the show. What kind of talks or sessions have been the most interesting for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely around the first day was mainly around the 5G core, its benefits. And, I started with a keynote in the beginning of the session where I delved a bit more into the use cases that it can provide. So, we talked about low latency use cases. So we're really talking about what can the operators offer customers and enterprises, what kind of use cases they can offer which goes beyond just mobile broadband. And a lot of those goes into ultra low latency communication. So that's really having rapid response rates to communications. So for example, AR, VR that we've always talked about, but also interesting things such as robotic control, smart manufacturing. These are the things that we'll start to see them in the coming few years, and I believe is the way operators can make more money. The other thing is network slicing. Now, network slicing is a topic that we've talked about now for at least 3-4, if not more years, but now it's it's maturing finally. And we've already seen this year some static network slices. Operators like in the UK, they've done, so one of the broadcasters, for example, when there was the coronation of the king, used network slice to broadcast live pictures within parts of the city. And this is something that we'll see more and more, but more in the going forward in the next few years in terms of how do you autonomously orchestrate network slices. So it's not actually manually set up, but how can the application on your device or anything can call and create that network slice.
Very interesting. And then finally, just kind of looking into your crystal ball a little bit, now, 1 or 2 years ahead, what kind of topics and themes would you expect to be discussed at the 5G Core Summit in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think automation is going to be one of the key topics. I mean, we heard a little bit about it today, autonomous networks, because networks are becoming so complex. I mean, compared to the previous generation, the number of operations, the number of parameters that needs to be modified. I mean, we're talking massive MIMO antennas which deliver, the high capacity throughput. Having these monitoring and operating these networks is very, very complex, and operators need to bring more automation, make the networks more autonomous, and I think this is going to be one of the key topics that we will hear more and more in the next few years.
Great. Thank you very much, Roberto.
Thank you.